Hey Kev, let's follow this trail over here. This looks like there might be something waiting down there.
All right. Hey, wait a minute. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I thought it was just me. What the heck is that?
I don't know what that is. Whoa, do you smell that too?
That's unbelievable. Hey, look.
What the?
Hey, look, those branches are moving over there.
What the heck is that?
Holy cow, is that what I think it is? Look at that thing.
Oh my God.
It's a freaking Sasquatch. Welcome to the Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters podcast. I am your host, W.J. Sheehan, author of the series of books Bigfoot Terror in the Woods Sightings and Encounters. 38 volumes available in paperback and audio format at Amazon and Audible. And actually everything's at Amazon. And you can go to BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com, our website, and there are viable links to all the books there that will take you where you want to go. And now, may I introduce you to my brother and co-host, KJ Sheehan. Kev, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little warm. You know, like the rest of the country, North Carolina has been pretty hot lately.
Yeah, I was out sighting in my new pellet gun today. And, man, it was freaking hot.
Yeah.
But I got the job done. It was interesting. I think I had a problem with the original scope I was trying to use. And I wound up using the, quote, cheap one that came with the gun. But the crosshairs seemed to work fine.
And what kind of pellet gun did you get? A pump or
I got this brake
cartridge?
I got this brake barrel Gamo, Gamo. They have pretty good reviews for accuracy. And, so I picked this up, and after quite a bit of trial and error, I resorted to the inexpensive scope. That was the only downfall with the gun, was many people complained about the quality of the scope, not the accuracy of the shot.
Right.
And I used it, and it's not an expensive scope, let's put it that way. So, but when you got the crosshairs on when you were looking at what you were looking at, and I got my left and right and down projections set correctly, or trajectories, I'm able to put some pellets in a 2-inch circle, in a good pattern. So that's pretty good,
Cool.
So
very good.
Yeah. So that was it. I meant to ask you, or meant to say to you, if we ever get a chance again to go see that Get the Lead Out again, man, that was just outrageous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, folks, I took my brother probably about a month ago now up to see the tribute band to Led Zeppelin, one of my favorite bands, called Get the Lead Out in Huntington, Long Island, at the Paramount Theater. And hats off to the Paramount for putting on a great show. And, of course, hats off to Get the Lead Out for getting the lead out with us. And I've seen him before, so as the band says, I'm a repeat offender. First time for my brother. And we had a great night. And, Bill, I did put that picture up of you and I in front of the Paramount at BigfootTerrorInTheWoods.com under Fun Stuff. So if you go look in Fun Stuff, you'll see a picture of us there. And that was a great night. I'd love to see him again with you.
Yeah, Rich Lloyd said he checked out the picture on the website.
Oh, cool.
And he commented on me rocking my freaking glow-in-the-dark blazer.
Oh, yeah, sparkly blazer. He wasn't even sparkly in that picture. When you saw him under the spotlights in the inside the theater, it was like diamond-studded.
I'm a regular Liberace.
With the Bigfoot playing the guitar on your T-shirt.
Yeah, yeah, no, that was a good night, man. A really good
I told
night.
you, Bill, I showed it to one of my friends from work, and they said, "Is that one of the guys in the band that you with?" I said, "No, that's my brother.
That's
He
my
just looks like
brother
he's in the band."
with his pointy shoes. So, what do we have in our cryptids in the news and other oddities today, Keb?
Yeah, it's been so darn hot. I have been watching more videos than normal. And I came across this 2012 Bigfoot or skunk ape sighting in Florida at in Torreya Park. And again, it was 2012, filmed by a guy named Stacy Brown Jr., who was out with his father, Stacy Brown Sr., who's now deceased. But what's interesting, a lot of things are interesting about this video footage, but Stacy Brown Sr. was a retired Army Ranger. So, not a guy that could be easily shaken up. So put that on the shelf for a couple of minutes here. And then this footage, although I saw it before this point in time, when it was featured on a great TV show called The Proof Is Out There, which I like very much. I missed it, I guess, when it first went out live on The Proof Is Out There, but I came across it while I was in the house trying to stay cool, and I watched the Proof Is Out There analysis of this video, and they gave it big thumbs up that it's likely very much legit. But let's talk about it a little bit. And folks, my brother rarely knows what I'm going to talk about when we do a podcast. But once in a while, if I'm going to review a video, I tell him about it and I send him a link so he can watch it before we talk about it. So tonight's one
Kevin,
of those nights.
Let me chime in and add that anybody who catches any episodes of The Proof Is Out There knows that these guys have no problem ripping you a new one if they think that you staged it or there's something phony baloney about it. They will just tell you straight up.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll give you an example, folks. One of the best debunkings I've seen on there, and there's a lot of them. Like they bring in all of the experts that analyze the video, the sound, you name it. And they did that one, which I featured on this podcast, where the guy was mushroom hunting somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and he heard the roars of the Bigfoot. And I thought, well, all right, this is pretty serious. And they analyzed that a couple of years ago, and they found a direct match to the sound that this guy said he heard to the sound of a dinosaur from that old TV show from the 70s or 80s called The Land of the Lost.
Yeah, so, I mean, who's going to come up with that?
I know, and they found it, and it was an exact digital match. So that mushroom hunter might have been eating a few exotic mushrooms.
Yeah, little psilocybin hunting in the woods.
Exactly, when he decided to try to trick us all.
Yeah, and so I give kudos to these guys because they are very credible, in my opinion. They're not in the business of, just buying everything for sure.
No, they're not going along with it.
No,
right?
no. So they're doing their due diligence. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, so let's talk about this a little bit. So, this father-son team of Stacy Brown Jr. and Stacy Brown Sr., they're out in this park, Torreya Park in Florida, and it's late at night on a Tuesday night, and they're going camping together. And the son, Stacy Brown Jr., is someone who's really into looking for Bigfoot and was at this time as well. So they're going out to roam around in the forest together, and they are talking about the fact that maybe, hey, Dad, maybe we can catch a Bigfoot and I'll get it on film tonight, right?
Right.
But they're out there and they're hanging out at the camp. Apparently, they're listening to some heavy metal on the radio or the player, whatever it was, back in 2012. And this park, which is out in the Florida Panhandle, apparently is very rugged, right? So they're there and they're listening to apparently the band White Zombie. And they start and they're cooking some ribs. I'm listening to metal music. and they hear what sounds like a knock from the surrounding woods. And Stacy Jr. says right away, "Hey, Dad, like, that's them, quote unquote."
That's them.
Yeah, insinuating that it's a Bigfoot.
Uh-huh.
And the dad, right, the former ranger, is like, "Come on, forget it. Let's get back to the music and let's get these ribs done." And they start to hear more and more knocking on the trees. And then they hear some vocalization from the beast, some grunts and growls and stuff like that.
It's like it was trying to get their attention for a moment,
Yes. Maybe they were saying, like, "Hey, turn down the music, will you? Nobody likes White Zombie."
Yeah, how about some Beatles?
But anyway, so the father then is like, "All right, wait a minute. Like, there's something going on here." And he feels a little uneasy as well. Mm-hmm. The Army Ranger feels uneasy, right? That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So they have a flare, forward-looking infrared camera with them, right? Because the son is a Bigfoot hunter. And they hear it again. They hear some more growling. And the father's like, "Come on, let's go. Let's go into the woods and see what we hear." And they hear noise on either side of them, kind of like something running, in the leaves. And
Certainly,
you hear the branches snapping and stuff like that.
Very typical.
Very typical. And then they stop, and Stacy Sr. raises the thermal imager. And you see this on film, right? I showed you the film, Bill. So it's thermal image, and you see this like light. Everything is like a light color, and this early flare shows the heat signature dark on a light background. Mm-hmm. And you see this like sliver of a dark image next to a tree. And apparently, if you looked at it very closely, you'd see the image on either side of the tree.
Yeah,
so
there's like a slice back and forth on side of it.
Yeah, like it was hiding behind the tree, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, this thing, clear as day, makes a leap across the space between two large trees. Mm-hmm. And you saw the image, Bill, right? I mean, no doubt about it. This is not a deer. It's not a bear, etc.
Yeah, and you could see it's extremely bulky. And Dr. Meldrum had commented on it that, first of all, Kev, who's going to be running around naked in the Florida woods at night in the dark?
Well, that was part of what they debunked. They said, like, if it was somebody wearing a pair of shorts or whatever, you'd see a different heat signature, where they were covered compared to the bare skin.
Right.
Where it was all uniform. Now, somebody said, well, they could have been wearing a furry suit, right? So it would be a uniform heat signature, but you got to be a maniac to be running around out in the forest on a Tuesday night with a furry suit on in Florida.
And really, the only people there are two guys kind of camping out, cooking ribs.
And one of them's an Army Ranger.
Yeah, you're putting on a performance for them. They could pull a trigger on you.
Pretty well armed, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
So, but furthermore, the other way it was debunked, to say it wasn't someone in a suit. When you see the image, folks, it doesn't look human. It doesn't look like a bear. And they even point out, some of the experts on there say it's not an ape either because the legs are too long.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anybody who's seen like a silverback walking around their hind legs, I mean, they're not running anywhere. There's no long legs outstretched. There's no big arm swing.
They have short legs. When you see them stand up on their hind legs and walk along, or on their legs and walk along, they're kind of short legs.
Well, very short. I mean, they're like 80% body, 20% legs.
Exactly. So this thing, and this doesn't have the same image or leg length, the torso and stuff like that of a human either.
Right.
And it looks a lot like the image in the Patty film where, Patty looks over the shoulder at Patterson Gimlin when they're filming her.
Tremendous arm swing. And also, I don't know if that had something in its hand or it had like a clenched fist that looked like it had a boxing glove on. It was so big.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, a massive hand, huge, lanky arms, and like Meldrum commented, the body on that thing was substantial.
Yeah. And they did analysis too, where they think like when it moved between the trees in one step, what was like a 6 foot span.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Pretty
that's
big.
fair. Maybe I might even elongate that a little, but I think 6 is fair.
Yeah. And then I mentioned in the beginning, like here's this cool, calm, certainly calm under pressure former Army Ranger. So when he sees this thing move and jump across between the trees, his son said he reportedly flipped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, his immediate panicked words to his son were, quote, get your gun, close quote.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck, and you just say defend.
Yeah, and then his son says, quote, he's a retired Army Ranger, and I ain't seen my dad shook like that.
Yeah.
Close quote.
Now listen, folks, you always hear me say my little tagline at the end of the show, always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. But really, you better be careful what you wish for. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there marching around trying to locate Bigfoot in the dark with flashlights and a Bowie knife. Personally, I just think they're out of their minds. But, man, one of these things comes down on you, it's going to come in a hurry. And, I mean, your ass is grass and the Bigfoot is the lawnmower. and that's what's going to happen, man.
Yeah.
I told you many times, Kev, I do not want to be in close quarters with one. It's like wanting to dance around with a 250-pound cougar or something. You're on the losing end. You don't want that to be the situation, man.
Yeah, and no, and like what sums it up here, Bill, is the response, right? That Stacy Sr., the ranger, then he says to his son that he wants to abandon this and get back to the truck right away. Just like leave everything.
Yeah, what's the sense of waiting?
Oh, yeah. And his son says to him, quote, dude, we're out here hoping to see a Bigfoot and you just filmed him and you're ready to leave. And his father says, quote, here, smartass, you have the camera and go back down there your damn self. I'm done.
Yeah, right. A little common sense prevailing over Junior.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and then they said when they were heading back to their truck, they felt that it was following them all the way along up this big hill to get out of the park.
And it probably was. There's that sixth sense, that sense of knowing, feeling, that ominous feeling like I'm being watched. When you feel like you're being watched, you are being watched by something. It could be a deer in the dark on your property. It could be a cougar in the woods. Could be a Bigfoot. It could be your neighbor looking over the fence at you. But when you feel like you are being watched, you need to honor that and know that that is what is going on.
Yep.
And this guy obviously had more common sense than his son did, and his son was probably a guy that would get in trouble if he was left to his own devices.
Yeah, if he didn't have his dad looking after him.
Yeah. And Dad had enough, like, man, abandon the camp. Let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
A tent ain't worth it. A cooler ain't worth it. Get out.
Yeah, and so then the show, just to reach a conclusion here, the show said that the official verdict that they found at the end of analyzing this was that it was an unknown creature. Yeah. And, but they didn't say, it was, a hoax or anything like that. And it's really mainly they couldn't identify it as anything, one, because it could be a Bigfoot or swamp ape, and they don't really know what that is. And then, this was an early generation thermal imaging camera, and it was a pretty short but very clear piece of video.
Yeah, no, it's one of the best pieces of footage I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good.
And, you take what you could get. The whole thing lasted like a split second.
Yeah, a couple of seconds.
But
yeah.
really, I mean, what can you expect, man? We're very fortunate that he caught what he did when he did.
Yeah, and it wasn't shaky.
No, it was a steady film.
Steady.
You saw the whole thing, like you said, it kind of edging out behind the tree before it decided to take a leap, you know?
Yep.
Wow, man.
Very
Good
cool.
stuff, Kev.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And, you know, a lot of you folks hear me talking about my friend Dave out in Oregon. I'm not sure if I ever did Dave's account or accounts, but I'm going to do them tonight. And if we have done them before, they're worth hearing again. Dave started with his account in the same area that his friend Kelly had an encounter in 1986, which is the Salmon Canyon area in Oregon. And I should preface this that Dave has been and still is an Oregonian logger for probably close to 40 years now and counting. Beginning his career in the timber at 18 years of age. Now, his account is actually multifaceted. It's covering a period of 15 years, as you'll soon hear. And this is what Dave had to share. My first encounter with a Bigfoot creature occurred in 2002, some 20 miles as the crow flew from Salmon Canyon. At that time, the crew was working a unit, an area of woods that they were cutting, about 5 miles from the main road, accessed by an old logging road that had been refurbished for the work. On our work sites, we create what we call spurs, or areas where one truck can pull to the side while another passes, allowing the free flow of men, materials, and lumber to move unimpeded. Communication always via CB radio. Clearing a unit typically takes about 3 to 4 months, and we had been working this one hard. When we are driving in or coming out, everyone on the road is giving mile markers over the radio so that one or the other can decide where to pull over best and wait for the other to pass. Loaded trucks always had the right of way during this process. This day, I was coming back in empty, having the urge to take care of some morning business, if you follow me. And I had pulled into this old spur that was somewhat overgrown, with a lot of tiny trees and bushes, having not been used or cleared in a very long time. The day was miserable as far as the weather was concerned. Rain, sleet, and snow were the order of the day. As I got out of the truck and walked down into this little draw to hide in the woods and take a squat, I had just squatted down when a tube of sunlight shone down from a momentary break in the cloud cover, illuminating what I thought was a big tree stump on the other side of the draw. My eyes were drawn to it, almost like looking at a spotlight during a stage performance, illuminating an actor. It was less than 100 feet away from me and noticeable. Well, the stump, or what I thought was a stump, stood to its feet, walked up the other side of this drawer without making a sound, and was out of sight. Thinking back, what are the odds of me walking down into this spot to relieve myself in the same place where it appeared this creature was already present doing the same thing? Or perhaps it was just squatting down. But I think the prior, because I believe that it would have left seeing me come in and not having waited. But they, like us, when caught in the middle of something, just can't jump up and run, if you catch my drift. It had moved away so quietly, taking advantage of the available cover as it did so, that I could only catch glimpses of its upper body or lower body from that point forward. For the next 15 years, the only people I talked to about it were my friend Kelly, who you now know, Bill, and my father, never mentioning a word to any other loggers or acquaintances. It was perfectly camouflaged in this environment. Reddish brown, about 6 to 7 feet tall, I would say, and not overly sized. More like a large NFL player in pads. Now, let's fast forward, Bill, to 2017, when things ramped up. At that time, we were starting a unit in the Salmon Canyon again, where Kelly, as you know, had experienced his trailer attack in 1986, about 50 miles away from where we were. Mind you, folks, the Salmon Canyon area is a tremendous swath of land. We were using the same 20-mile-long access road that Kelly had to get in and out. This area was part of the infamous Tillamook burn, which took place in the 1930s. It had also burned 3 more times, the last being in the early 50s. Historically, the fire in the 30s was the largest in United States history, only being surpassed by the California wildfires in recent times. The area was filled with what we call second growth, untouched since the last fire. It was summertime when the loader operator started to talk about hearing chatter in the area. He was insistent that he heard a couple of people talking and couldn't understand them, which happened repeatedly. He didn't see anybody and no one responded to his calling them. Shortly after that, the shuttle operator had begun to hear the same thing, now giving credence to what the loader operator had been saying. So he took it upon himself to search out the area in his truck as best as he could in such a forest, to find those responsible parties, but coming up empty, having located not a single soul for his efforts. It was now January. I had left the landing with my first load of logs at 4:30 a.m. Several miles into the outbound, a fellow in a pickup truck radioed that he was coming in. And knowing it would be easier for me to stop near where I was, I did so, pulling into a spot we called the Rock Pit. The driver of the pickup was passing by a rock wall with a steep drop-off alongside it, going down to a river below. So picture this, folks. This road is up against a rock face, and the other side of the road is a steep drop-off going down to the river. So just visualize that as we enter into this. After the pickup truck had passed, I proceeded to continue outbound, passing the very same wall and drop-off I just described to you, Bill, when I saw what at first glance appeared to be a sizable dark-colored rock right in the tire track this other guy had just made coming in. As I pulled closer with my headlights on, it was not a rock, but a massive pile of crap. So I stopped. Other trucks were coming behind me, so I didn't have much time to dilly-dally around. But I poked around in this pile for whatever reason. It was a bucket full, much more than a grizzly would put out, and we didn't have any grizzlies around here. Now, poking through this pile momentarily, I found a giant pack rat, fully intact, having not even been chewed on at all, obviously having gone through some being to be where it was. Less than a few minutes had passed since the pickup had driven through here, and my being there. The pile would have been run over had it been made before his passing. It was in the truck's tire track. Whatever had done this had done so between his passing and my arrival at that location and left. Now, this spot was so rugged that I believe a mountain goat would have had difficulty getting in and out of there in a hurry. Yet here was this pile of dung. As I said, it was a bucket full. A week later, I was taking my first load out at about 4:30 a.m. again. I had my headlights on, meandering through the forest on this tight dirt road. The road was at best 2 feet wider than the truck, with dense forest hard up against it. As you drove, periodically the forest was thinner in spots, allowing you, albeit a flash in time, to see maybe 60 or 75 feet deep into the woods. Mind you, I'm loaded to the gills with heavy trees, navigating mile upon mile of dirt road at night in the Oregonian woods as I round this right-hander with the truck. Before I hooked into this right-hand turn, my headlights scoured into the trees on high beams for maybe 5 seconds, and there it was, leaning against a tree, its head tilting towards the trunk, and standing perfectly still, was what looked like a massive silverback gorilla. It was unmistakable, standing in the snow alongside a darkly colored tree trunk, covered in salt and pepper fur from top to bottom. I had never seen anything like it, broad-shouldered and big. Now, there was no way I was stopping alone in the forest, and a week later the unit was completed. It was now early spring when another crew had gone into the area, working to clear a different unit nearby, where we had spent the past 4 months. They were in there well into the summer working, and it was months after they had finished that I ran into one of them in town, starting a conversation as we loggers are prone to do. I asked him if anyone had seen anything while they were up there, not letting on in the least as to what anything might be. He told me immediately that the entire crew had seen a silver-gray Bigfoot walking along their cut, quickly covering the ground. The loader operator had seen it first from up on the deck, along with the other men. He radioed down to the guys in the brush, alerting them of the presence of this monster, with the entire crew now watching it. It had to be the same monster I had set eyes on before they came in. According to him, it walked along the edge of the cut for several minutes in full sight of the crew, ducking into the trees and disappearing from view. After the fact, crew members had made their way over to where it had been seen, coming across numerous footprints. As I said, I'm never comfortable in the woods anymore knowing what's there, having seen it with my own 2 eyes. As much as the run of cougars we have going on here in the state is a royal pain in the butt, I can't even fathom running into one of these guys under any circumstances. What I saw, and now know to be true, could squeeze you around the waist and pop your head off like uncorking a bottle. Now, Dave also commented that an old railway line runs through the Salmonberry Canyon, having many tunnels. According to Dave, that would make an excellent shelter for such creatures, and I have to agree with him. As a side note, referencing Dave saying it could pop your head off like a cork, a good friend of mine by the name of Philip, a former coroner, said he once examined a man's body that an Abrams tank had run over. According to Philip, the man's head had popped off his body, leading me to believe that perhaps Dave is not far from the truth with his surmisal of Bigfoot's power. What do you think of that, Kev?
Wow. That is, of course, from the hotbed of Bigfoot sightings in Oregon. And, somebody who's out there all the time in the woods, a lumber truck driver, lumberman,
Yeah.
So we always say, how are you going to see one? Well, you got to be out there a lot to see one.
Yeah, and these guys are living out there.
Yeah.
And nighttime, daytime. Dave goes to work at 2 a.m. in the woods. and he's already, the landing area is all lit up, spotlights, machinery with big floodlights on it. There's machines cutting, trimming up logs, getting ready to load up the trucks to clear the landing as the day begins and the guys start to come in with light where they're working.
And the
again.
landing is where they're hauling the trees back to with the traveler or whatever they call it after they cut them down.
Yeah, the landing is a deck area, right? And typically it's running down a hillside.
Okay.
Cabling going overhead. It's really Dave has sent me numerous videos of the operations, the machinery, so I could see and understand how things work. It's a tremendous operation. And, they're out there. And that's not the last time they've seen stuff. So that was just Dave's initial encounters. Mind you, folks, Dave and I have become very good friends, like Rich Lloyd, my friend Philip, many others. And all of these guys had originally contacted me through the podcast just to chat it up about what they had seen. And the longer I've known these guys, the more credible everything they have said to me rings true.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to doubt any of these fellows.
Awesome.
They're stand-up members of their communities. I could go on and on and on about what great men they are, their wives. And I have zero doubt about the integrity of these people. And I would have no question as to whether or not what they were telling me was the truth.
Awesome.
It is awesome, isn't it, Kev?
Yeah.
So there you have it. That was my buddy Dave.
Cool.
And as you can see, he had a couple of different. How about that bucket of turd in the middle of a tire track in basically an area like where did this Bigfoot go? He had a rock wall on one side and a drop off going down to a river on the other, and he appears in the middle of the road. Cops a squat. And then where did he go? Over the side down to the river or climb the rocky wall? It's just a bizarre thing,
Nobody knows,
Yeah. Crazy, man, huh?
Or hidden in plain sight.
Yeah. Well, he could have been, he could have just been hanging off the side of the edge while Dave was there looking, and he didn't even know he was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's it, Kev. What do we have on our listener mail? Anything cool?
Yeah, we got some good listener mail. And folks, thank you so much for writing in. We'll cover a couple of emails today, but we got a ton of them, which is great. Evan from Idaho, another hotbed. He writes in, and the subject is creepy creatures of the Philippines. And he says, "Hey, brother Sheehan, I have a good Filipino friend that was telling me about some of the cryptids and creatures of his homeland. I'm sure you've covered the Filipino version of Bigfoot before called Amomongo. If not, it's worth checking out." Well, Evan, I don't think we've covered that one.
No, and I have never heard of Amomongo.
I've never heard of it. So thank you. And then he says, "I'd also wanted to bring to your attention another figure from their folklore called Manananggal. He says, I'll let you look it up yourself, but let's just say it's as creepy as they come and would make a great Halloween character."
I love it.
So, Evan, I'll check them both out. And Evan says, "Keep up the great work, Evan from Idaho." So
That is
stuff.
awesome.
2 good tips there.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to have to look into that.
Yeah. And then our second email comes in from Bradley, and Bradley's written in before. And he says, "Y'all referenced Expedition Bigfoot Season 1, more so referencing, the team member who got sick and had to leave the show. I think they called him RPG, and the cause or supposed cause of his illness was infrasound.
Yes, he's right.
Infrasound has been linked to Bigfoot. I know it had been brought up in later episodes on the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, I don't remember that, Bill, but I think you were talking about that.
Yeah, and some studies have been done that, like, for instance, tigers growling. They claim that the tiger's low end goes into this infrasound.
Ooh.
When they, way down deep beyond our hearing. And apparently, I mean, it's suggested that this can have some type of intimidating or immobilizing effect on the hearers or the listeners.
So the pitch of the sound can actually hurt you.
Yeah, or it stuns you or does something. And RPG in that episode became like very sick. And Maria Mayor, as a woman, the motherly instinct, I call it, was like troubled about him. And she kept going to him, "Are you okay, RPG? Are you okay?" And then finally he said, "No, I'm not okay." And they wound up taking him out of there, and he never came back to Expedition Bigfoot.
Wow.
So they interviewed him on sometime later, and he just talked, "I'm doing okay," and whatnot. And I surmise he just said, "I've had enough. The way that hit me, I don't need to go there again."
Sure. And you're in a really rural place, and you get gravely ill. That's enough.
Yeah. So I'm sure they got hookups, people that could take him out, or even bring in a helicopter if they had to.
No, but still, it's scary.
Yeah, very scary. Amazing, Kev.
Awesome. So that's what we got, Bill. Thanks, folks, for writing in, and thanks especially for listening and giving us those 5-star reviews. The reviews are virtually the only way we have of attracting new listeners. So give us a 5-star review as soon as you can.
Yes, and also if you buy a book, do the same. Okay? Give us all 5 stars. It goes a long way. Don't leave it up to somebody else to do what you could do for us, We appreciate everybody out there. We love you guys. We love doing this podcast, and we hope you enjoy what we do. And remember, if you should find yourself in the Salmonberry or walking through the woods of Maine or anywhere else, you best remember one thing, my friends. Always carry more gun than you think you're going to need. Sleep tight.